Is Africa doomed? Let me tell you a story from ancient times from the Middle East. There are two brothers, and these brothers were twins. When the older brother was coming out of the womb and was being born, the younger brother grabbed at the heel of the older brother because he really wanted to be the firstborn. As time went by, the older brother, obviously being born first, he was a hunter. And the brother was just a guy who used to stay at home really with his mom. There was a time when the older brother had gone hunting and came back from the hunt. He was so famished, he was tired, he actually thought he was about to die. That's how hungry and so thirsty he was. And he gets there to this lovely smell of soup that his brother had prepared. And the brother goes to him and says, please, please can I have a bowl of soup because I'm about to die. And then the younger brother is like, right, this is my opportunity. And he tells the brother, sure, you may have this bowl of soup at just one cost. And the brother's like, okay, what does that cost? And he's like, give me your inheritance. Give me your birthright. And the older brother, being famished and also unwise, thought, what is the point of having an inheritance if I'm about to die? So rather, let me give away my inheritance and survive and have this bowl of soup. So the older brother took the soup and ate it and enjoyed, and he was alive. Years go on, and the father moves to another land. And from that land, he actually becomes very prosperous. So before, they actually really weren't that prosperous. They were okay, but they hadn't achieved that level of success that they had now achieved as the father moved. Now, the father actually had a good, proper inheritance to leave to his sons. Fast forward a few years later, and the father is on his deathbed. The young brother remembers that the promise was his, so he disguises himself because the father is now blind, and goes and receives the blessing from the father, the firstborn's blessing, that the firstborn should inherit. He took that blessing as he had rightly swapped it with his brother for the bowl of soup. Now, the brother goes in and realizes that the brother has taken his inheritance. He's furious and he's mad because the blessing was meant to be for him as the firstborn. But he didn't realize, or he had forgotten, or he just didn't care that he had actually squandered his birthright for a bowl of soup. Now I ask the question if Africa is doomed. And I see that as Africa, we are like the big brother. We are a continent endowed with minerals. We're endowed with riches. Even our human resource, the people that we have, are second to none. We work hard. We try our best. We're honest people. We're fun people. We're loving people. Africans love life and love people. It is in our culture. It's in our DNA. However, we have sold our inheritance for a bowl of soup. Our countries have mortgaged off our resources so that the gold that is under the ground is not ours, all for money. If we would only take those resources and work them, we then would create the resources that we need to be prosperous. We have taken that which God has given us and mortgaged it for seemingly meaningless things. Our leaders have not done us any justice by that. All throughout Africa, I'm not even singling out any country. I'm not here to point any fingers or name any names. But as Africa, we have sold our inheritance as a bowl of soup. I'm here not just to focus on the negative, not to focus on the past, but to acknowledge it as we move forward. In this new times that we're in, with the crisis that we're facing, not only globally, Africa poises itself to be one of the greatest benefactors from this change of system. As we know that the world as we know it has ended, what is Africa going to do now to rise up? What is Africa going to do now to stand apart from the other nations and to rise up again and no longer sell itself for a bowl of soup that will give away our minerals and yet receive paltry monies in terms of foreign aid? This is enough. It is time for Africa to rise again. It is time for Africa to trade once again, to be an equal partner with the world. And I'm not talking about black supremacy or anything like that, but I'm saying rise up to the level that we can be and the level that we should be. And it's in seasons of crisis like this that we can readjust, that we can pivot off the crisis. If we look at China right now, the issues are supply chain issues. globally. Everyone had put their eggs in one basket. And now, moving forward, as the nations open up and eventually do, we'll find that Africa will be poised to take the place which was once taken by China in being a supply chain partner for these developed nations. Is Africa doomed? I say no. I say now is the time for Africa to rise. And I'm confident that it will arise. And I'm confident that things will change for the better. And I'm confident that we'll no longer be a continent that will sell off the inheritance for bowls of soup. We'll no longer be beggars, but we'll be partners. We'll rise up and show people what we're made out of, our ingenuity, our ability to think off our feet and to come up with new ideas. Africa, this is our time to rise. This is our season. And I encourage you, please step up wherever you are. Don't be despaired with the coronavirus and whatever's happening, but let's step up and say, this is our time. How can we move forward? How can we show the world what Africa is really made of? Thank you, and take care.